Hey everybody, it's Dr. Joe's in the house on this Wednesday evening. Hope all is well wherever you are. And another great session lined up. And today we're going to talk about the fundamentals of landlording. I'm going to call this Landlording 101. And, sometimes I know I kind of go into some of the details of landlording, based on experience, 37 years now of being a landlord. And sometimes I think it's really important to go through the basics and so on. So today's focus is on that. So kind of give you some of my experiences, some of my lessons learned about what it takes to become a successful landlord. It's not an easy business. It's not as simple as just buy a house and or an apartment, and then you find somebody, and then miraculously they pay their rent on time, they stay forever, and everyone's all happy. It's not as simple as that. It's a lot more complicated, and there are different skill sets that's required to become a successful landlord. And a reality is not everybody, I think, can be or is or are good landlords. There are some bad landlords out here, and there's some people who the thought of landlording just makes them, curl up and so on. So it doesn't always have to be that way. And so we'll kind of go through some of those details today. Before I get too far, as usual, if you've got some questions, please put them in the chat box, and we'll get to them in about 20 minutes or so. Anything to do with the real estate investing, any difficult challenges that you're experiencing, any things that are not working out, contractors, landlords, tenants, buying houses, financing houses, anything to do with real estate, please put them in the chat box, and I'll try and get to them in about 20-25 minutes from now. And as usual, if you want to book a one-on-one with me, you can go to my website, joeactionable.com, and book a one-on-one where you can do a deep dive into your specific situation. If there's a challenge that you're facing and you really want to get my insights, and I've got one scheduled for tomorrow and a couple for tomorrow. So again, if you're interested, please go to my website and book a one-on-one with me. And lastly, we do have an event. I gave you a little tease last week, but we do have an event lined up on October the 12th, on Saturday, October the 12th, here in Washington, D.C. And they'll see the ticker tape going at the bottom. And essentially, it's Mastering the Burr. Corliss and Fitz have finished their project. It's all done. And the renovation is complete. We found a tenant who has a 6-bedroom voucher. They're going to submit the paperwork to the housing authority today, in line for the deadline. So hopefully, if all goes well, the tenant will move into their property November the 1st. So outcome. I'm very happy, very proud of them. And so we're going to kind of do a deep dive into that project. All the things from start to finish. Talk about this. It's really a success story. It wasn't always easy. We had some good, bad, and ugly experiences during that time. So we're going to kind of talk about that. We don't want to sugarcoat things. It's not easy. So we're going to talk about that at the session. And so there's a chance to interact with them, also interact with like-minded real estate investors like yourself who are trying to strive for financial independence. So I strongly recommend if you can sign up for that one. You're getting some insights, great networking opportunities, and you also get a chance to, you and I can meet, shake hands and just catch up and so on. So if you're in the DC area next Saturday, October the 12th, please register. You can go to the website, www.joeactionable.com, and you can sign up and register over there. It's limited seating as usual, so expecting a good turnout. So please register. It's going to be great. It's going to be a great experience. Okay, so let's get down to business today about landlording. And I suppose I'll start off with, why is becoming a landlord important for your real estate investors? Why is landlording important? Why should you even care? I suppose the question becomes, what makes mastering landlording essential? I say essential for building long-term wealth through real estate investing. That's really the crux of why should you care about landlording? Why is it important, to master this? if your goal is to build wealth, long-term wealth through real estate. I think it's absolutely critical. And I know that some people opt to just give it to management companies. I've tried that. I just haven't had success with that. At the end of the day, the ones who cares most about your property should be you, and not everybody has you at heart. And again, not disparaging anybody, but you not everyone's looking out for not everybody has your agenda at mind. Some people have hidden agendas, and so on. So I've just made the decision to manage my own properties, and so on. So real estate is often viewed as one of the most reliable paths to financial independence. And being a landlord as a result of that is a critical role in that journey. It really is. So for residential real estate investors like you and I, the goal is to get consistent rental income. Because it provides cash flow. It gives you the opportunity to maintain and grow your portfolio. And or however, I suppose, being a successful landlord, it's far more simple, it's far a lot more complicated than simply collecting rent. It's not just about collecting rent, it's more to it than that. It requires mastering a range of skills, from managing tenant relationships to handling maintenance issues, all while keeping an eye on profitability. Because at the end of the day, you're trying to make a profit. And so the ability to balance these responsibilities is what in my opinion, separates successful investors from those who are struggling, and so on. So becoming a landlord, in my opinion, gives you direct control over the performance of your property, allowing you to take proactive measures and steps to maximize your returns. So whether you're looking to grow your portfolio or simply maintain a single rental property, understanding the ins and outs of landlording is really becomes critical, in my opinion. Otherwise, you'll make what I call unnecessary mistakes. And, those mistakes can seriously impact your profitability, especially if it keeps on going over time. So many first-time landlords make the mistake that thinking that rental properties are passive income. All you got to do is buy it, and money keeps on rolling in, and you don't have to do anything. It's not as simple as that. There are a lot of issues that you have to deal with: tenant issues, property issues, handling repairs, navigating legal issues if they come about. And it requires hands-on by somebody, whether it's you or whether it's a management company. So in today's live stream, we're going to do a deep dive into the what I call essential strategies new landlords must master. And I'll also be providing you with some actionable advice and items to help you manage your rental portfolio efficiently, and also hopefully to build long-term success. Okay, so that's what we're going to do today. And let's get down to business. So number one, I broke it down to 5 sections today. And so the first one is, how do you attract and screen quality tenants? That's key. My experience is that most of your problems as a landlord is because you just got the wrong person in your house. That's the bottom line. And that manifests itself in so many different ways. They don't pay the rent on time. They trash the place. Constant drama, never ending issues. It's just a headache because you just got the wrong person in your home. And so it begs the question is, how do you attract and screen quality tenants? I call these people tier 1 tenants. Okay. These are the tenants that's going to take care of your property, pay the rent on time, no drama, and hopefully stay a long time. So the issue, or the question, I suppose, is what are the best practices for attracting and selecting tenants that will help safeguard your investment? How do you attract quality tenants who are going to protect your investment? So finding, reliable tenants who pay on time, take care of your property is really key to your sanity and to your success. However, attracting quality tenants begins long before the screening process. It starts really on how you market the property. In my opinion, it even goes further than that. It goes to the type of property you buy, because the type of property you buy has a direct correlation to the type of tenant you're going to attract, and so on. So, but let's just assume that you're buying a property in an area where you're going to get the type of tenants you're looking for. Then the next question becomes, you have to attract these people, which means that you're going to place an ad or do some form of marketing, which hopefully will appeal to these people. So it's going to require you to create well-written rental listings that highlights your property's best features, pricing, amenities, and also you have to advertise in the right platform, which hopefully the people you're looking for are also looking there as well. So once you have potential, applicants in place, then this kicks off the screening process, which allows you to dig further into who this person is. Are they who they say they are? Do they have a history? What is that history, and so on? So you can obviously verify a lot of this through what I call background searches, background checks. You can do credit checks, credit reports, and employment verification. Obviously, if they have a voucher, you want to verify that the voucher that they have is the right size for your property, and so on. So additionally, you can do things like contacting previous landlords, getting references from them, because previous landlords will give you valuable insights into the tenant's behavior, their reliability, and how they're going to treat your property or how they treated their property. Okay, so the goal is to avoid what I call high-risk tenants, and who may damage your property and not pay your rent, and just give you constant headaches and consume a lot of your time, energy, and money. So this document, obviously, so the other thing is that you have to have a lease, which is compliant with the state laws wherever your property is located. And, as part of that whole process as well, you tend to get the tenants to sign the leases after you've selected the tenant. So obviously the lease set expectations and compliance, as I said before, with local laws. So you don't run afoul of those. And if you do get taken to court or you have to have some legal action, the judge doesn't throw the entire lease out because there's so many red flags in there. There's so many disallowed items in there and things like that. So the lease should obviously, outline things like the rental terms, the payment schedules, the maintenance responsibilities, and what I call house rules. So by setting the foundation with a strong tenant screening and a leasing process, you're more likely to reduce the likelihood of future issues. Okay, so what are some of the action items you can take as it pertains to attracting and screening quality tenants? Things like developing a marketing strategy that targets quality tenants by highlighting your property's features and amenities. You can implement a thorough tenant screening process that includes things like credit checks, background search checks, and also landlord references. You can also draft a clear, detailed lease agreement, which sets expectations for both you and the tenants. Okay, so number one's done, which is focused on how do you attract and screen quality tenants. Number two, or part two of today, we're going to talk about how can you set up effective rent collection systems. Okay, so the tenant's now in. Hopefully, they're going to pay you the rent. So what are some of the systems that you have to have in place to make that an efficient process? So the question becomes, what are the most efficient and secure ways to manage rent collection and ensure consistent cash flow? What are some of the ways that you can collect rent and make sure you have a consistent cash flow? Okay, so rent collection obviously is a backbone. That's what's bringing you revenue. Without that, you won't be able to survive too long. So without timely payments, it becomes difficult to cover expenses. You're going to have things like taxes, mortgage taxes. You're going to have maintenance costs, and mortgages and a whole bunch of expenses that come into play when you're a landlord and you own a property. And obviously, your rent is designed to address and cover those things, hopefully, with some cash flow left over at the end of the day. So, as a landlord, it's really important. It's almost critical, really, to establish clear systems for rent collection from your tenants. That minimizes the risk of late or missed payments. Okay, so I try to do electronic as much as possible rather than people mailing checks or people handing over money, cash checks, or whatever it is. I try to do everything electronic because there's a paper trail. So I use things like Zelle, Cash App, Venmo, and there's a bunch of different apps as well. So nowadays, many landlords are, in fact, turning to automated online there, which makes it easier for tenants to pay and for landlords to track payments. So everything is kind of going towards online platforms for paying rent. So online rent collections include things. Obviously, it has advantages, including automatic payment reminders, multiple payment options. You can pay your tenants your rents through things like bank transfers, credit card, debit cards, etc. And also, a lot of these online rent payment platforms allows you to generate reports, history reports, payment reports, and things like that. These systems obviously can streamline the process, and but also, by giving constant reminders, can reduce the likelihood of late payments from the tenants. Also, it's more convenient as well. It allows people to pay the rents 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And I think most people nowadays prefer that as opposed to the old way where you used to mail checks, the checks in the mail and so on. So despite, having payment systems, it's really important that you establish firm payment terms, which is documented in your lease. So we should indicate things like the grace period or the due dates. When's the rent? When is the rent due? The grace periods. When do late charges start, and how much the late charges or late fees are. That should be in the lease. So transparency, obviously, in the lease and also in conversations, avoids misunderstanding. And so having clear written policies gives you leverage if you need to enforce it. It's documented, so you can take it to a court, present it to the judge as to why you're charging the fees that you do. So by implementing an effective rent collection systems and clear policies, you can ensure consistent cash flow and reduce the administrative burden on yourself. So what are some of the action items associated with setting up rent collection systems? Choose one is to choose a reliable online platform and to automate your rent collection processes. Another thing is clearly outline the rent payment terms, including due dates and late fees in your lease. And three, you could set up an automatic rent collection reminders to help tenants stay on track with their payments. So that's number two. So number one, again, is how do you attract and screen quality tenants? Number two is how can you set up effective rent collection systems? And number three, which is what we're going to go through next, is how do you maintain your property and handle repairs efficiently? I mean, things go wrong when you own properties. The roof leaks, there's something wrong with the plumbing system, the electrical system, the heat Hey guys, sorry about that. There's some technical issue there. I don't know what happened. So I apologize. I was going through number 3. How do you maintain your property and handle repairs efficiently? So I apologize for the technical issue here. So hopefully it's not going to happen again. But I'm back. Hopefully you can see me, you can hear me. Hopefully it doesn't happen again. Okay, let's get back down to business. And so I suppose let me get the banners back on. And let's see, where are we? Okay, so the question is, what maintenance strategies can landlords use to keep their properties in top shape and avoid costly repairs? Okay, so maintenance obviously is an ongoing responsibility of landlords. Things go wrong with houses and properties, and so it's really important that you stay on top of these things. And otherwise, you're going to get a lot of irate tenants, because they feel like you're avoiding them. So neglecting, repairs can lead to larger, more expensive issues over time. So you got to deal with them as and when they occur. And so what I do is have regular property inspections, both scheduled and also spontaneous, are critical to identifying potential problems, before they escalate to something major. So a proactive approach is really important to maintenance. It not only prevents costly repairs, but also demonstrates to the tenants that you are responsible and that you're a responsible landlord who cares about the property. This obviously can foster better relationships with your tenants, encouraging your tenant to treat your property better. There's nothing worse than a slumlord, somebody who doesn't take care of their property. After a while, the tenants get to realize that you don't care about your property, and because you don't care, they're probably not going to take care of it as well. So having a list of trusted contractors is really important, to take care of these repairs. I have home warranties on all my properties, so if something go wrong, I usually engage the services of the home warranty company, and it just makes it more easier. It's just easier for me anyway. I've done the cost benefit analysis; it makes sense for me. Hopefully, you can do a cost benefit analysis, and you can determine whether it works for you or not. But maintenance and repairs is a very, very important part of landlording. Owning properties is why a lot of tenants leave and care of the property. So there are routine maintenance issues and there are emergency issues as well that you have to, especially health and safety related, like lack of heat during the winter time, cooling, major roof issues. These are emergencies that you have to deal with, and you have to have people, systems in place to deal with them if and when they come. So what are some of the action items that you can take in terms of maintaining your property and handling repairs efficiently? Conduct regular property inspections to identify and address maintenance issues. Establish a network of reliable contractors for quick and efficient repairs. And also create a maintenance schedule for routine tasks like HVAC servicing, replacing filters, plumbing checks, and landscaping. Okay, that's number 3. Let's get down to okay. So if you want to, again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. We're going to get done in about 10 minutes, and I'll do my best to answer those. And to book a one-on-one, obviously you can go to go to my website, www.joeasimo.com, and you can book a one-on-one with me. And let's have a look. And also, we have an event which is scheduled for October the 12th here in Washington, D.C., where you can, see me interact with Charles Corliss and Fitz on their project, which they've just completed. Really, really nice. If you're in the area, you've got to come. It's going to be a great event. Very, very impressed. They took a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house and turned it into a 6-bedroom, 3.5-bath house. And you got to come and see that one. And they've selected a tenant, and they're going to submit the paperwork to the housing authority today. And hopefully the tenant will be moving in there November the 1st. So you'll be able to hear their story, the good, the bad, the ugly, what went right, what went wrong, and be a chance to network with other like-minded real estate investors, and just be around good people. Okay, so let's get out to number 4. 4 or 5. So how can you build strong tenant relationships? Okay. I suppose the question becomes, what communications and management strategies to help foster positive landlord-tenant relationships? Um, you know, my success has been the fact that I take customer service very, very seriously. And my goal is to make sure my tenants are happy, because if they're happy, they're more likely to stay, they're more likely to take care of their house, they're more likely to pay their rent, more likely to be just pleasant to deal with. So I put a lot of emphasis on this. A lot of landlords do not. They don't want to, they don't particularly care about their tenants, to tell the truth. All they want is their money. As long as the tenant pays their rent, they're happy. They don't want it from the tenants. They don't want to know the tenants. They just want their money. That's okay. I get that. But I think tenants want more than that. And successful landlords realize that at the end of the day, you're dealing with human beings, and your success is going to be how well you treat your customers, and how happy your customers are. Because if they're happy, they're more likely to continue doing business with you, i.e., renew your leases and things like that. If they're not happy, they're going to go, and then you're going to have to start all over again. So it's all about communications, in my opinion, and so on. So good communication is really key to maintaining positive relationships, in my opinion, with your tenants, because it really has a direct impact to customer satisfaction and tenant retention. Being responsive to tenants' concerns, whether it's repair request, whether it's a question about the lease, whether it's about anything, can make a huge difference in how your tenants view you as a landlord. Tenants are more likely to take care of the property and follow the lease when they feel respected and valued. So one effective way to build strong relationships, in my opinion, is to set clear expectations from the beginning as to what you want and what they can expect from you. So one of the things I do is to have a comprehensive move-in checklist, a tenant welcome package, and just talk to the tenants about what it is that you're expecting, the do's and don'ts, and so on. How you're going to handle maintenance, how you're going to handle rent collections, how you're going to handle late fees, how you're going to handle all these issues. It's something that you can communicate during the move-in process, so that way they understand from the beginning, how things is going to be done. I always like to encourage open communications with my tenants. If possible, try to report small issues before they become bigger issues and bigger problems, and also try to address your concerns as and when they occur. It's also beneficial to check in my opinion, with your tenants periodically. Every now and then I call my tenants, see how they're doing, see if everything's okay, whether they're happy, whether they're unhappy. That way I can take some proactive actions before they leave or before they give me a 30-day notice. So I recommend that you check in periodically with your tenants. And but small gestures can go a long way. Send messages, send gifts, and you know what I do, Christmas, Mother's Day, and all that stuff. I do that. It works very well. It generates a lot of goodwill, and it lets them know that you're not just about the money, but you really, you care about them as a human being. So maintaining a positive relationship with your tenants increases the likelihood, in my opinion, that they will renew the lease, which in turn will reduce your turnover and vacancy costs. So what are some of the action items? This things like develop a clear, open communication systems for tenants to report issues or ask questions. Provide a comprehensive move-in package, with key property information and maintenance protocols, and periodically checking with your tenants to maintain a positive relationship with them. Number 5, the last one before we wrap it up. Again, if you got some questions, please put it in the chat box. I think we lost some of the questions, the comments. So please put them in there if you haven't done so, and I'll get to them in about 2-3 minutes. Okay, so number 5 is how can you effectively navigate tenant turnover and vacancy management? Turnovers. This is a killer, and it's so expensive. What strategies can you use to minimize vacancies and handle tenant turnover smoothly? So we're going to talk about now. And vacancies, tenant turnover and vacancies are the biggest expense, in my opinion, as a landlord. This is when people leave. Your property is now vacant. You got to paint it again. You got to clean it again. You got to go find a tenant. You got to go through that whole ritual. It's very, very time consuming. It is very, very, very expensive. If you can't minimize that, it just wipes out a lot of your cash flow. So you're thinking money, you think you're making money, but in reality, you're not making any money. So vacancies are one of the biggest threats to your rental income, as an empty unit obviously generates no cash flow. Tenant turnover, if not managed properly, can result in extended vacancy periods that will eat into your profits. However, with the right approach, you can minimize the time your property sits vacant and ensure a smooth transition between tenants. The key lies in proactive planning and efficient tenant screening. To reduce the likelihood or the impact of turnover, it's essential to start preparing for the next tenant as soon as you know that they're leaving. So as soon as they give you a heads up that they're leaving, you can start the process of planning for their move out. I tend to send communications to the tenant, let them know, the process, what's going to happen. And so we kind of get the ball rolling as soon as possible. So this means scheduling any necessary repairs, preparing the property for viewing, and beginning your marketing as soon as possible. Advertise your property. Some people, I don't really do this, but some people do advertise their property early before the tenant moves out. Some people show their property even with the old tenant in there. I don't do that normally, but I understand you're trying to reduce the turnover cost. And obviously you can do that if you have a good relationship with your current tenant. You can let them know, give them a heads up that you like to show it. And hopefully they'll be cooperative and put you and your property light. So advertising your property, people do that. I don't do it, but it is what it is. Additionally, having the systems in place for handling tenant turnovers, such as the move out process, inspections and repairs, ensures that your property remains in good condition and ready for the next tenant. So fostering a positive relationship with your tenant obviously allows you to do this. If you don't have a good relationship with your tenant, it's very, very difficult to show the property. I certainly would not show a property if I'm not happy with the tenant. They probably don't care about the house. They probably don't care about me. And they're not going to give good referrals or recommendations or discussions if I was to bring somebody there. So, so by reducing, the bottom line is by reducing, tenant turnover through solid tenant relationships, minimizing downtime between tenants, allows you to maintain and control your expenses and hopefully increase your profits. So what are some of the action items associated with this? Start marketing your property beforehand, if it's possible. Conduct thorough move-out inspections and handle repairs immediately to avoid delays in re-renting the property. And finally, offer renewal incentives to reliable tenants to encourage them to stay. Best way to avoid tenant turnover is to have the tenants stay longer. So you have to incentivize them to do that. Finally, in conclusion, how can you or how can we as new landlords build long-term success as real estate investors? So the question becomes, what essential strategies should landlords implement to create sustainable long-term success as real estate investors? What can you and I do to maintain the chances of long-term success? So becoming a successful landlord involves mastering, I think through this live stream, you've realized, mastering a variety of skills from tenant screening and rent collections to property maintenance and legal compliance. While these tasks may seem overwhelming at first, building a strong foundation early will set you up for long-term success. By learning how to effectively manage your rental properties and tenants, you not only protect your investments, but also maximize your return on investment as well. So key to this process, obviously, is continuous education and adaptability. As the market changes, as circumstances changes, you adapt accordingly. And real estate markets, obviously, regulations and tenant expectations are constantly evolving. And landlords who stay informed are better equipped to navigate these changes. So things are changing. You need to adapt accordingly. So building a network of trusted professionals such as real estate agents, attorneys, contractors, electricians, plumbers, architects, all. And you just need to be, aware of those things. So as you grow your portfolio, investing in relationships is really important, and to your long-term profitability and long-term success. So hopefully today was a good session. Hopefully it's got you interested in being a landlord. If you're going to be a landlord, you got to do it the right way. Again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. We're going to get to it in a couple of minutes. You can also shoot me an email. I can be reached at joe@joeasamoah.com, joe@joeasamoah.com. And also, if you want to book a one-on-one with me, you go to my website, www.joeasamoah.com, and you can schedule a one-on-one where we can do a deep dive into any issues, problems, challenges that you're facing. And finally, for those people in the DC area, or if you can come to the DC area, the next event is going to be Saturday, October the 12th, between 11 and 1. We're going to do a deep dive onto a project which is currently with Fitz and Corliss. They bought a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house in Washington, D.C., and have turned that into a 6-bedroom, 3.5-bath home, beautiful home. And so we're going to talk about that. We're going to do a deep dive into that project, all the good, the bad, the ugly, what happened, what went right, what went wrong. And it's going to be very educational. It's going to be a great opportunity to network with like-minded people. Go to my website, joe@joeasamoah.com, where you can register and sign up for this event. And it's going to be a good one. I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to seeing you and hopefully be able to, connect with you as well. So that, my friends, is the session for today. So let's go down to Q&A and see what we have here. Okay. Greetings from Phoenix. Hi, Dao2. Hope you're doing well. And do you ask your tenants to have renters insurance? If so, I suppose, how do you verify? If so, has any of your tenants had to use their renters insurance? I don't require. I know nowadays a lot of management companies require that their tenants have renters insurance. I don't require, but I recommend it. And I have my tenants sign a release, essentially saying, hey, I have insurance on the house. It covers my stuff. It doesn't cover any of your stuff. I recommend you get renters insurance. It's going to cover your stuff. And but I'm not going to force you to get it. But if you don't get it and something happens, there's a flood, there's a fire, there's theft, don't come to me. Insurance is one of those things people don't like to have, but I'm so grateful to have it if an emergency or a situation occurs. So I don't force it, but I do recommend it. In terms of verification, you can add yourself as an additional, what they call additional insured. So if a tenant gets it just to, move into the property, but then you'll get a notification that the policy is elapsed, and so you can then contact the tenant and let them know to renew the policy. So that's typically sometimes some tenants just get the policy just to get into the property and then don't continue to pay the premiums. But you have to make sure it's a lease violation. Otherwise, it may be difficult for you to enforce that rule. Then your tenants had their rented insurance. I've never had a tenant use the rented insurance. There's never been a claim on my properties that I can remember anyway. Okay. Aman, hello, Dr. Joe. Thank you for your content. Thank you very much. Aman. Again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. I'm going to get to them now. Did the screen freeze, or is this just on my end? The screen froze. Sorry, Ty. Hopefully you're still here. There's a technical issue on my part. So we're back. Is a freeze for me too? It freezes for me. Yes, it did. So same here. I'm sorry. Hopefully you're back. Okay, flipping versus renting. Which one is better strategy? Your thoughts. This is from World 407. Flipping versus renting. I've done both. There's a time and place for either. Obviously, flipping allows you the potential anyway to get some quick cash. Get some money a lot quicker than chunks of money, they call it. So that, you know, so if you're short of money or if you need chunks of money, you can definitely get that more so through flipping than you can through renting. So it depends on your cash needs. If your cash needs are being met elsewhere, i.e., you have a job or other income streams, then you can possibly do rentals. And because you're not going to build, you know, you're not going to be able to quit your job by having 2, 3, 4, 5, $600 a month cash flow from rental property. That's not going to happen. It takes time. But if your cash needs are met elsewhere, either through other income streams, then it gives you the buffer to actually start doing this. And that's what happened to me. I was working when I first started. I had a job, so my cash needs were being met by my job, and therefore I wasn't reliant on my rental cash flow. In fact, the first property I had, I was making $50. It's ridiculous. I mean, think about it now. It's $50, and I had a tenants from hell. So obviously, I wasn't going to quit my job, but you know, with $50 cash flow. But I wasn't relying on that to pay my car note and rent and mortgage and things like that. I had a job which allowed me to do that. So so it depends on your cash needs, World 407. But I do recommend that you start property, especially if you're in an appreciating market, because the reality is that it's always expensive. It's expensive today, wherever you are. It was expensive 10 years ago, and I can guarantee you it's going to be expensive 10 years from now. It's always expensive. And then 10 years later, you're thinking, oh my God, what was I thinking? I should have bought 10 years ago when it was cheap. You know, I should have bought in 2024 when it was cheap. That's just the way it plays out in these appreciating market like where we are. So you just have to just buy it, let time do the heavy lifting, I say. And but implement some of these strategies we talked about today with landlording. Then it's possible to hold on to this asset and let time take care of that, and let the asset build equity, appreciation, cash flow, tax benefits, and so on. So it depends on you. I've done a bit of both. Flipping, you know, flipping is not always cracked up to be. In my experience, you know, after you pay everybody off, you know, pay the, the hard money guy, pay the contractors, pay all these holding costs, the profits aren't as great as what people make it to be. I was very disappointed, and there are many times I've walked past properties that I flipped, and I have serious reservations as to why I did it. I spent the money flipping, and you know, the money's gone, and I regret you know, losing the asset. So you know, it's you know, each to their own. Just one second, please. Each person's to their own, and you know, but I personally prefer holding on to properties rather than just flipping stuff. Okay, 1 second. Got this little text message here, and I will respond. Okay, so flipping versus renting. Okay, hopefully that was okay. Hi, Dr. Joe. This is from Kate. Katie, how you doing, Katie? Let's have a look. You mentioned that you have a number of tenants with 6-bedroom vouchers, and you have 6-bedroom properties to rent. How common are these high bedroom vouchers in your area? In the Washington D.C. area, people, there are 6-bedroom voucher holders, and there are very few of them. I mean, there's enough of them, but there aren't a lot of them. But there's enough of them whereby you can develop a business around them, because there aren't that many 6-bedroom houses. People with 6-bedroom vouchers in the Washington D.C. area have a really hard time, especially in Washington D.C. have a really finding houses. You know, so yes, I mean, Fitz and Corliss, there's a 6-bedroom. They're able to fill it immediately. I've got several people who have 6-bedroom vouchers who are searching for housing. They just can't find it. So it's possible, but it's very localized. So you have to find out in your area where the demand is. You may want to speak to the housing authorities and see what makes the most sense. Which group of people have the hardest time finding houses? And then, sort of, making sure that you have a product that meets that need. So the need is here, and in the DC, especially in Washington DC, I can't say that obviously for everywhere, but it's a case by case. But the higher the rent, the higher the number of bedrooms, the more rent. And nowadays, I do a lot of 6 bedrooms, 5 and 6. I just focus on 4, 5, and 6s, especially 5 and 6s. That's my sweet spot, and I have a business all around that. Okay, Tim Christman. How you doing, Chris? Tim, sorry. Okay, let's have a look. Ty, I know you mainly self-manage your properties, but if you had to turn them over to property management companies to manage, what are the top things you would look for in these companies? Okay, what would I look for in a management company? One thing you got to realize is that just by giving it to a management company is not going to solve all your problems. It doesn't. You have to, at the worst case scenario, you're going to have to manage the managers. You can't just give them free reign. As I said, they have their own agendas, and I haven't found one. But there. So, what would I look for? I would look for things like what's their screening policies? How do they go about finding and qualifying tenants? What criteria do they use? I like to understand their knowledge of the local market. In terms of setting rents, in terms of, how familiar are they with the local landlord tenant laws? What's their customer service like? What their leases are like? And just generally how they do business. So these are some of the things I would look for, when I'm sort of checking out management companies. And so on. So just hold on a second. But yeah, you have to manage the managers and make sure that they're doing their job and they're doing what they're supposed to do, and so on. Okay. Please, Lanny, please. I can hear it down here. Yeah, so that's what I look for in management. There are a lot of good management companies. I'm sure they are. I just haven't found one. But I'll do due diligence. I'll get some recommendations, referrals from other investors in the area. Maybe go to a RIA meeting and see what, maybe you get some referrals from others as to some good management companies in your area, and so on. Okay, how often in a lease term do you do walkthroughs of your properties? And do you go through every room or just the main areas? I'm a little. This is what I'm supposed to do. So as I say, do as I say, not as I do. How about that? I got a lot of properties, so I don't have the time. So I'm in the process of working with a lady who's going to focus on just inspecting my properties. I just don't have the time to do it. Ideally, when a tenant first moves in, I would suggest that you do it every 3 months. Because you don't know how they're going to keep the place, and so on. So you kind of have to check in and make sure that they're doing what they're supposed to do. Now, once you realize that they are good, the tenants, and they're taking care of your property, then maybe you can scale that down to maybe once every 6 months or once a year. But initially, I would suggest maybe once every 3 months. As part of that walkthrough, it's a walkthrough the whole house. It's not just the common areas, the whole house, the rooms, every bedroom, every living room, dining room, kitchen, the whole 9 yards. That's what we do. I also do that before I select a tenant, do a walkthrough of their home, because I found is that if a tenant takes care of their current home, they're more likely to take care of my home. If they destroy their current home, they're probably going to destroy my home. And so we do a physical walkthrough of their homes. That's what we did for Corliss and Fitz house, and we're comfortable and very satisfied with how the tenant was taking care of their property. So we felt that they're going to take care of this property as well. So it's the entire walkthrough of the house, not just the common areas. Okay, how much is this cheap way? How much late rental fees do you typically charge? Is it a percentage of the monthly rent or a stated interest rate? That's going to be depending on your local area. In the Washington D.C., you cannot charge more than 5% of the rent as late fees. So if the rent is $100, then you charge the max you can charge is $5. That's a law. So I can't charge more than that. Otherwise, it can get struck down by a judge should the tenant dispute that. Now, also, if also it's the 5% of the tenant's portion. So if the total rent is $1,000, and let's say I have a voucher, a Section 8 voucher holder, and the total rent is $1,000, but out of that $1,000, the tenant pays $100. Okay, which means that the housing authority pays $900, and I collect $100 from the tenant. Then in DC, I can't charge a late fee of 5% of $1,000. Okay, i.e., $50. I can only charge 5% of the 100 that the tenant pays, which is $5. Okay, so that's how the law is here. Obviously, that's a state-by-state issue, a local jurisdiction issue, but that's how they charge that's how the laws are. So I would suggest that you find out from an attorney or go to a RIA meeting to find out what you can and can't do as a landlord in terms of late fees in the area where your property is located. So it's 5% here and so on. Okay, I'm traveling and can't come to the event. Will it be posted on YouTube? I don't think so. We're going to try and do that, but it's a live event, unfortunately. We're going to try and figure a way to maybe do live stream, and so wherever you are, you can watch it from your home. But so we're not there yet. Maybe that's something that we'll consider doing. Wealth and Wellness with Grace. Hello, Dr. Joe. Hey, Grace. Hope you're doing well. Again, if you got some questions, please put them in the chat box. We've got about 5 more minutes, and I'll try to get to the questions as I can. Let's have a look. Dow 2. If your tenant causes damage to your property beyond their deposit amount, let's say $6,000 worth of damages, do you get a court-ordered judgment against the tenant for the amount over the deposit amount? You could. Yes, you could. Whether you'll get anything is something else. My tenants don't usually have a whole lot of money, so the amount of time and effort and pain of trying to extract money from them, it's almost not worth a while. So that's where your frequent check-ins come in, frequent inspections come in, and the relationship you have with the tenant is also very important. But yes, you have the legal right to go to small claims and and file a suit against them for anything in excess of the security deposit. I just don't do that. I'm not saying you shouldn't do that. I don't do it. And my time is worth more valuable. Well, no, my time is more valuable, and then going off to the local courthouse and and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, but you can, and you can sort of go after there. But I did do that one time. I will tell you, and I got a judgment in small claims against the tenant. And so I did get paid that way. So it does work. It's just you're gonna have to do it's gonna be you're gonna have to figure out if it's worth your while, how much they owe you, and whether it's worth the effort of going there. If it's a large amount of money, yeah, I would say so. If it's a small amount, a few $100, it's probably not worth it. But it's gonna depend on the case by case situation and your your tolerance for that. Okay, Katie, have you ever been licensed as a real estate agent, broker? No, I have not. I'm not a real estate agent. I'm not a broker. I'm just a regular real estate investor. What are your thoughts on obtaining licensures as an investor, essentially for personal benefit with no intent to commit to that career path? I'm not an agent, so I don't know. I've never had a need to go to do it. I do have access. One of the benefits of being an agent, I think, is you get access to the multiple list service, the MLS. but I have access to it anyway, and there's different ways to get access. But I'm not an agent, so I still have access to the multiple list service. I don't know what the benefits are, so I'm not an agent. I don't have the time to chauffeur people around looking for houses. One of the benefits I see is that you do have access to the MLS, but I have access to it anyway. So, but again, I'm not. It may be worthwhile for you, Katie. I just haven't, had the need for it. But it depends. Maybe some other agents can weigh in, or other investors can weigh in who are also real estate investors to let me know what their thoughts are. Wealth and wellness with Grace. What has been your biggest aha moment since becoming a landlord? Biggest aha moment is I realized that not all Section 8 voucher holders are the same. There are what I call tier 1 tenants who, they're the perfect tenants. They pay their rent, take care of the property and all that stuff. And they are not like your stereotypical, Section 8 tenants. They're really great. That was my aha moment. And I realized that if I can wrap a whole business around them, understand who they are, what their needs are, where they want to live, where they don't want to live, who do they want to rent from, who they do not want to rent from, and all that kind of stuff, then I would be great. So I'll go back. And so that's one of the biggest thing is the aha moment was the voucher holders. They're all the same. And it's a great program once you figure it out. It's the greatest program since sliced bread, in my opinion. Personal benefit, referring to primarily to MLS privileges, access to properties, experience in general, occasional deals, of course. Yeah, so yeah, it's you do have access to property. You can go inside properties. I can't just go into a list of properties. I have to go with an agent. If I was an agent, obviously I can go in myself. So yeah, there are definitely benefits. It's just that I haven't, I didn't go down that path. Okay, well, some of the good housing markets for the first-time landlords. Oh boy, it depends where you are, Shikaron. The grass is always greener on the other side. At the end of the day, it's the same old, same old. It's hard work. It's not easy being a landlord. So there's no easy way out here. I would say, first of all, start off in your local area and see if it makes sense to be a landlord locally. It's much easier to do it locally than long distance. And I'll try local first. And if it doesn't make any sense, then obviously you can then expand your horizons and check out other cities, other states, other areas outside your local market. Okay, my friends, it's now 8:01. I'm going to wrap it up for today. Hopefully today was a good session, and hopefully it was helpful. And again, we have an event next Saturday at between 11 and 1 in Washington, D.C. You can sign up and register at my website, www.joatsmo. We're going to go to do a deep dive into Fitz and Corliss's project. And if you're in the area, please come along. It'll be a chance to meet me as well, network. Also, if you got a problem, an issue that you want me to help you with deep dive, you can also go book a one-on-one with me, and we can definitely go through that with you. Those sessions are really, really good. If you're hesitating, you need to do it. My goal this year is to help people take action. And so if there's something that's preventing you from taking action, an issue, a challenge, a problem, a concern, book a session with me and we'll do a deep dive. And then hopefully I'll give you the information and the strategies and the hopefully wisdom to keep moving, because you can't attain financial independence by reading books, watching YouTube videos, listening to live streams. At some point, you're going to have to take action and you're going to have to pull the trigger. And it's very, very scary. It's very, very intimidating. But you want to leverage on my, I think you don't have to, but I think you should leverage on my 35 years worth of experience. I've made all the mistakes you can think of. So leverage my experiences, my mistakes, rather than trying to figure it out yourself. Anyway, with that said, my friends, hopefully I'll see you next Saturday. Sign up on my website. Until then, have a great week. Take care. Bye.